Hi, everybody. What we're going to look at now are the assumptions we make about communication. And those are things that we believe to be true about how we communicate with other people. So let's look at the first one we have here. Oh, let me get my pen. All right, we'll do highlighter here. There we go. So the first thing we can look at is the idea that communication is continuous. You may have heard the phrase, you cannot not communicate. Everything that you do is a form of communication. The words you use, how you say them, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, maybe even the way you smell or the way you don't smell. Those things all communicate to other people information about ourselves. And it is a continuously building process. How you communicate today is built upon all your experiences in the past. So we believe that you cannot not communicate, and that everything you do sends a message or information about you to other people. Let's go down here to number 2. We can look at the past and how the past, present, and future influence your communication. First of all, we have the past, and that's really something that we just talked about a little bit, about all your rearing, your education, your religious background. All those things influence how you presently communicate. Since we're talking in an interviewing class, your previous experiences with interviews will also influence how you perform in future interviews. Were you successful? Were you unsuccessful? What do you need to improve upon? So all those things that happened to you in the past will influence how you perform today and in the future. The next part we have here is the present. And what we're talking about here is how it is you at this moment in time. How do you feel? Do you feel sick? Are you tired? Do you have a headache? Do you feel great? Is it a beautiful day outside? You're in a good mood? So all those things, the context that you're in at the present will influence how you communicate. Your mood will influence how you communicate. How you feel physically will influence how you communicate. So all of that. So we have the past. We also have you in the present, and those both will influence how you communicate, which brings us to the third one, and that is how the future will influence how you communicate. Let's say you walk into an organization for an interview. You look around and you think, this doesn't really look like a place I would see myself working, or this isn't really what I thought it would be. So will that influence how you perform? Probably. You may not be as attentive, you may not be as engaging, you may not give very thorough answers to their questions. Whereas on the other hand, if you walk in and look around, you think, wow, this is really neat. I would love to work here. You may be more dynamic, you may be more engaging, have better answers, more eye contact, you may sit up a little straighter. So how you see yourself in relation to that context in the future will certainly also influence your communication. So we have the past, the present, and the future. The next one we have here are the roles that we play. And oftentimes, psychologically, it's easier for us to put people into roles. For example, I'm in the role of a teacher, you're in the role of a student. Somebody else is in the role of a doctor, somebody else is in the role of a nurse, or the mother, or the brother, or the sister. We tend to put people into roles because it's easier for us to relate to them that way, as opposed to just another unique human being, another individual. And so we react to people based on those roles. I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just how we tend to do it. It's psychologically easier for us to put people into roles as opposed to try to see everybody as a unique individual human being. So we react to roles more so than we do to individual human beings. Okay? The next one we have up here is the idea that communication is complex. You can think of 6 people in communication, 6 people involved in any communication situation. You've got my me, which is how I see myself, my you, which is how I see you, and how I think you see me. Do I think you like me? Do I think you don't like me? Do I think you've had me before so you know what I'm like? And maybe it was a great experience, maybe it wasn't a great experience. So how do I think you see me? So there's the first 3. Then the second 3 is your you, which is how you see you. Your me, which is how you see me. And how you think I see you. Maybe we've had class before. Do you think I like you? Do you think I dislike you? So when we say communication is complex, we're really talking about the 6 pieces of any communication situation. So it really isn't just as simple as you and I talking with each other, but there's all these other things, we're sizing each other up and we're trying to figure out, what do you think of me and what do I think of you? And so there's all these different things going on when we are in a communicative situation. I mean, especially in an interview, think about that. You're sizing that person up, that person sizing you up, and does the person like me? Am I answering the questions well? Oh boy, I don't feel like I'm doing a good job. And so there's all these things going on in an interview situation. So communication can be complex. Fortunately, it's not so complex that we can't do it well. So thumbs up to that. The next thing we have here is that communication is unrepeatable. And what that means is even though you may say the same things in the same way over and over again, it's still different because because of this helix model and how communication is always building upon itself. Every time you say something, it's different. A great metaphor for this is you can't step in the same river twice because the water is always moving. So communication is unrepeatable. Even though you say the same thing, because you've already said it once, it changes the meaning. All right? The next one here is irreversible. And this one means that once you've said something, once it's out there, you can't take it back. And I bet there isn't one person in this class who at some point hasn't said or done something and you think, oh my gosh, I really wish I hadn't done that. Or, oh my gosh, why did I say that? That was so stupid. And you would like to take it back, but you can't because it's already out there. So communication is irreversible. And the last thing we have here is that communication is symbolic. And a symbol is something that stands for something else. For example, if I ask you now to think about a house, all right? Picture a house in your mind. What does it look like? Is it single story? Is it 2-story? Is it a farmhouse? Is it a contemporary home? Is it a Cape Cod? Is it stone, brick? wood, aluminum, all the above? Does it have shutters, no shutters, big, small, in between? We are all seeing different houses in our minds. I'm seeing the one I live in now, which is a big white house with dark green shutters, and we got trees and all that stuff. So the symbol, the word house, creates different meanings for all of us because we're all seeing something different in our minds. And so we have to be aware of that when we are using words, when we are using symbols to stand for something else. Because if you say something like, I want that done quickly, what does quickly mean? To some person, it may mean, well, by the end of the week. Somebody else, it may mean, okay, well, by the end of the day. Somebody else, it may mean, well, I want it done now. So we have to be very careful of the symbols that we use because they can oftentimes create miscommunication and misunderstanding. So in essence, these are some of the basic assumptions that we make about communication. And these, again, are things that we believe to be true that influence how we communicate with others. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.